Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Very Connected podcast. And you guys, this is going to be a good one. We have Dr. Connie Stapleton here with me. Not only do I just love her as a professional, but also she has become a great friend of mine and who I dearly love. And Connie, say hello.
Hi, everybody. It's so weird because I just see Brenda and me on the screen. So I'm just talking to Brenda like she's multiple personalities. Hi, Brenda.
I kind of am at some points,
Oh, we all are, the personas.
And I want to tell everybody that's joining us, please feel free to say hello in the chat box. Let us know where you're from. Let us know if you're pre-op, if you're post-op bariatric surgery, if you're just maybe you're just on a weight loss surgery or weight loss journey and you're not even surgery related. We want to know a little bit about you guys because that helps us know where to gear our conversations. And
Yes.
today's topic is going to be on community. And that is why we're here. That is why Connie does what she does every single day and is so freaking passionate about it. I'm going to kind of do a sort of an introduction, but I kind of want, I don't know that I can completely do Connie justice. Connie is a licensed psychologist who has worked in the bariatric community for over 20 years and with thousands of bariatric patients, both pre and post-op, really just to help them develop lifestyle. She does do some pre-surgery assessments, but also does some after care as well. She actually has something that she has titled BariAftercare. She has a podcast associated with that and a full program that she does. She also offers these retreats at her home. Which I'll let her tell you more about those as well. But today's topic is going to be on social support, and we're going to talk about coping with stress and how to do that through these type of forums and other forums, and other people, I don't know, other forms of support. So, Connie, at that, I'm just going to kind of turn the microphone.
Well, microwave, microphone, whatever. The micro something. Okay. Hi, everybody. This is fun. I was looking over the chats. Hi to Jamie. I was in Nebraska yesterday, Jamie. I was in Omaha. That was super fun. Sandra's right here in Ackworth. We got some other Georgia folks here. And I love that there are pre-ops and post-ops and people from all over. Oh my gosh, I love it. Cheryl, hi. So, okay, yay. There are people that I know. That makes me happy because I feel like I'm right at home. All right, guys. So I have been in this community for, good Lord, 2 decades at least, right? And so pretty familiar with the world of bariatrics, whether it's, bariatric, people think that automatically means surgery, but it's like Brenda said, you may not be having surgery. Bariatrics is the study of the disease of obesity. So, and we're talking tonight about coping with stress. Stress. I'm going to tell you a story about stress. We're going to talk about coping with stress and social support systems. So I have a motto of my life, and it's true. And it goes like this. It's hard to be me, but it's always so very entertaining. And I say that because I get myself into the darndest situations. Like one time, my husband and I went to Utah and we were going to go to the Yellowstone. And so we get a rental car and I have my computer in the back. I throw everything in and we're sitting and I go, I don't like this car, honey, because it sits so low. I'm like, we're going to be going through Yellowstone and I'm going to need a booster seat. So we switch vehicles, but I leave my computer in the back seat. So we're about 2 hours away from the airport where we rented the car. And I'm like, oh my God, I left my computer in that other car. I do stuff like that. Anyway, we got it back. So here's the story of my stress for tonight. So my best friend is getting married in Iowa. She lives in Omaha, Nebraska. And so I went there Sunday night to help her do some stuff for the wedding because I'm the officiant. And I came back last night and I was talking to my daughter and she's like, you all ready for tomorrow night for the ProCare? And I'm like, yep, that's good. Got that at 5. And then I got my group at church at 6:30. And she's like, Mom, it's at 6 Eastern. And I'm like, well, in typical Connie style, I have overbooked myself. So I used my social support system to help me in this stressful situation. So what I did was I called one of the other ladies in the women's group, and we meet here at church. And I thought, well, I gotta do the ProCare thing at church because I'm already going to be a half hour late for our group, and I don't want to have to drive a half hour. Then I'll be an hour late. So why bother going? So I called the lady at church and I said, is there a room I can use at the church? Because I'm overlapping. And yes, there's a room you can use, which is where I'm at. And then I called a woman in the group and I said, listen, we've got a 30-minute video to play at the beginning of group. Will you start it? And when it's over, then I'll be there because I'm the group leader. so so see how things work? I had to use my social support system. And then I'm also scheduled on Thursday nights to do my own support group for BariAftercare. So I got somebody to cover for that. So that's what a social support system is, my friends. And we all know what stress is, right? And I create all kinds of stress in my life. And that's not tonight's topic, but that is a great topic to look at how we create our own stressors. However, life in general has plenty of those. So we don't always have to create our own, but it's amazing how I do that. Okay, so let's talk about stress. We all feel stressed. We feel it in relation to jobs. You know, my son and my best friend, who I was just up in Omaha seeing, her son, these boys, these are 40-year-old men. Both of them got laid off from their jobs. Did you hear what I just said? Both of them got laid. Well, let's hear it for the boys. They both got laid off from their jobs. There's stress for you. Okay. After years of employment, right? Uh, a lot of my friends are dealing with aging parents. My mother lived with me for the last 7 years of her life. There's some stress involved there. Maybe you got sick kids or finances. Hugely stressful. You know, it can be stressful trying to get the kids to brush their dang teeth. Holidays, eating stress, divorce, grief, loss, all the things. Meal prep is stressful. Trying to get the kids in the car to get to school on time. We have day-to-day stress and we have chronic stress. And not one of us is immune to that. So if you're preparing for surgery, or if you've already had surgery, or if you're somebody who's, working to lose weight with whatever method, here's something that you can bank on. We know that the pre-op process has a lot of stress because there's a lot of appointments, there's a lot of things to do, but the post-op, now you want to talk about some stress. You got all that water you got to drink. You got to have so much protein in a day. You got to take those ProCare vitamins every single day. You got to work on your pre-planning and then preparing those meals, creating time to exercise, and so much more. So we have stressful lives. And here we are the week before Thanksgiving. So now we have the stress of the holidays. You add that all up and it's a migraine waiting to happen, right? We got cooking, you got to deal with, whatever food issues, whatever stage of your journey that you're in related to the holidays. And maybe you're worried about seeing some people, in relation to this bariatric journey over the holidays. And maybe you're stressed because you don't get to see some people that you want to see. And then there's gift buying and wrapping gifts and stress about spending money on gifts and not having money to stress on gifts and missing loved ones. And maybe you're lonely. So stress, here's a fun word for you, ubiquitous. It's everywhere, right? There's a lot stress and we all have a lot of it. And here's what research is going to tell us. 27%. So that's over a fourth of our population. That's a lot of people. This is adults. Say they frequently are so stressed out that they cannot function. That's not a good way to live, my friends, because we're going to talk in a little bit about the effects of stress, not only on our bodies, but on our minds, right? So when you get to the point where stress, is so big that you just want to shut down, having a social support system may be absolutely key. So, not only is social support critical for our mental being, but for our physical as well. And that's because we're social beings. We are not meant to spend all of our time alone. Some time alone is a good thing, but we all need, and other people need us to care for them, and we need people to care for us, to support us, to share what's going on in their life. This absolutely brings us connection. And to some degree, having that connection always brings joy. And it for sure, the connection can help us minimize the effects of stress. So, again, if we turn to research, we're going to talk about the effects of stress. And social support, according to research, may be the best help of all to reduce stress because it gives us a lot of the resources that we need, maybe to solve a problem or to overcome a hurdle or to get the boost of energy or the encouragement we need to follow through with the next thing. And when this comes to your bariatric journey, your social support is going to be critical. And a lot of people come into this journey with varying degrees of social support. Some people, who maybe struggled with the disease of obesity for all of their life, have isolated because it's just too hard to deal with people. So there's a form of stress and it can be very difficult. So you might not have a big support system. You may have so many people in your family or in your life, and that can be stressful too, because now you got too many people telling you what to do. So you have to learn how to set limits with the help that you can get from these support people. So there's healthy support, there's unhealthy support. And we're going to talk about that as we go along. But research says that we want to reduce our stress, and social support can help because it does give us a lot of resources. It helps us to increase literally physiological hormones that are going to combat that stress. It helps us to feel better, absolutely improves our overall health, and decrease the risk of death. That's important. So more specifically, when you're dealing with the daily stressors, which some people deal better with the big life challenges, but those daily stressors, because there's so many throughout the day, just kind of do you in. But if you've got somebody at the office you can chat with for a few minutes or vent to, and if you've got a best friend that you can call, and if you've got a bariatric support group, or if you're involved online, can really make things just a little bit easier to bear. And a really critical thing, and this is so important, especially when you're talking about post-op life and pre-ops, my encouragement to you is to start living your life as though you were a post-op. Maybe you don't have to worry so much about portion size at this time, but eating according to how the dietitian at your bariatric office encourages you to eat. Get those ProCare vitamins going now. Figure out a way to make that a daily habit because you will be sorry down the road if you don't. Seriously. So having a support system, a healthy support system, is definitely going to help you manage the stress in ways that are going to support your long-term health. And the business of living as a post-op, especially that first year, can be very, very stressful. People refer to it as a full-time job, just getting used to when to take the vitamins and how often to drink the water and when not to eat and when to eat and making sure you don't skip the meals, all of those things. But a really important part of this social support is that it can prevent you from turning to unhealthy coping sources. So one of the things that I really promote in all of the work that I do is incorporating the emotional health into the process of your bariatric journey, because you're going to get a lot of schooling on eat every so many hours, eat protein first, get this many grams of protein. You're going to get a lot of schooling on that. And that is great. The people who really live by that, that's your daily process, are the people who really do well long term. Here's the thing. It's not always easy to do that. It's not always easy to stick with that. And the number one reason people say they regain weight is stress. So what that tells me, and hopefully tells you, we all need some coping skills to deal with stress. And the social support system is one of the best ways to help us with stress so that it doesn't pull us under emotionally or physically. So when we talk about, especially in the post-op world, we talk about having healthy coping skills so that you don't turn to unhealthy sources of coping. Think about your relationship with food over the years. For so many people, there's a connection between stress and eating, stress and eating. So it can be the stress of family, it can be the stress of the job. Definitely the holidays is filled with stressors that we don't encounter a lot of other parts of the year, but having healthy coping skills and that support system. So I'm going to just sidetrack a little for a minute here and say one of the best things that you can do going into the holidays is to have a list on your phone of people you can call or text anytime that you can say, oh my gosh, my grandmother is driving me crazy. She's practically shoving food down my throat. I need somebody to talk to. Are you available? And this is an amazing thing to do. And even if they just text back and say, sorry, can't talk, you got this, get outside for 30 seconds. You know, just a little tip, a little tool. It's a great, great thing to have people lined up. If you're going to a holiday party or a family event and there's somebody you can trust there who is truly supportive of you, who's not going to say, oh, really? You're not eating anything? Is that all you're eating? Can't you just have a little bit of this? I just don't understand. You know, the things that get to us, if you can have one or two people who are your safe people who can provide you with support, even if it's just let me make eye contact with you, and that eye contact says, listen, I agree, take a deep breath, let's move on. So have people available to you throughout this holiday season when you are triggered, when you are most stressed, and your automatic response is to turn to food. Other unhealthy things we don't want to engage in if food is not available to you in the capacity that it was before. We don't want to turn to excessive drinks, alcohol, drinking of alcohol. We don't want to spend money we don't have in excess because that can be a coping skill, right? We don't want to spend hours doom scrolling when we've got 1,000 other things that we could do that are productive. We don't want to just, even things that could be good for you, like reading or, you know, relaxing to a television show. If that turns into 4 or 5 or 6 hours where you're neglecting other parts of your life, that is an unhealthy coping skill at that point. So we have to have healthy coping skills throughout our journey. And the good news when it comes to a social support is, you know, social media makes it difficult sometimes if we're going to, you know, when we think about comparing, because you look at somebody and go, my God, they've got 50,000 friends. What the heck? I've got 4, right? But if you think about it, you don't need 50,000 friends. Who's got time for that? If you have a small group of people who are high quality support people, who are nurturing, who are compassionate, but who will also hold you accountable, you can have a small but mighty support team. So it's not about quantity, it's about quality. Yeah, so most of us, you know, at some point or other in our lives wish we had more people in our support circles. But let's talk about cultivating a few people. And again, you can have a support person at work who's not your best friend that you tell all of your life secrets to, but they can be a support person at work. Maybe there's somebody who's had surgery, and so you can at least go to them and say, oh my God, you know, this, don't go in the break room today. It's just filled with crap, right? So a support person doesn't have to be your be all and end all person. And you need more than one. You need more than one. I've had conversations with friends in my life where I've had to say, listen, I can't be everything to you. I can't. I don't have the capacity for that, time-wise or emotionally. So sometimes we have to um, set limits on what we can give to people. And sometimes we have to ask for what we need. So in just a minute, I'm going to go over some ways to get support and teach you how to be good support. All right. So let's talk about the different kinds of social support. So you may not have known this, but and I just kind of figured this out too. But your social supporter obviously are people who are going to be there and with you in times of need. So people we talk to when we're having problems, people we turn to when we have a task we need help with, and sometimes people can seem to come out of the woodwork when we least expect it. There have been some people in my life at different points of my life who provided me some of the most important support I have ever gotten. And there was never a deep friendship. I'm going to tell you a very brief story. I was in a very unhealthy relationship in college, and I was living with this person, and they became abusive. And so I left. And it's the end of a semester. So I'm trying to study and maintain, and I'm staying at my friend's house, and she's got a roommate who I really don't know very well, and I felt very insecure in comparison. My self-esteem was so low at that time. And this girl, we'll call her Lori. Lori was my friend's roommate, and Lori was a sorority girl, and I felt like I was so unworthy of being in a sorority, or, she had all the things that I thought that I wanted in life. And so I am in this horribly emotional state from this relationship. First time ever there had been physical abuse, and I left immediately, but I'm staying at my friend's house and I'm trying to study, and I have a breakdown. Like my body just goes into convulsions. So I called my friend at work and I said, "Can you come home? I don't know what's wrong with me, but something is seriously wrong with me." And she's like, "No, I can't, but I'll send Lori." And I'm like, "Oh, great. Oh, great. Perfect. Lori's coming." And I'm such a mess, I didn't care. So Lori came, and that girl rocked me like a baby. And she told me of a situation she had been in that was even worse than the one that I was in at the moment. And she just held me and rocked me. It was compassionate and non-judgmental. And I would love to, I don't even know her last name. I would love to thank her. So I'm just sending that thanks out into the universe. But support people sometimes are not your besties. But okay, so I learned something. So, of course, support can come in all different kinds of ways, and there's different kinds of support. So I'm going to just share with you what I learned. There's social support. All right, that could be like, families, your partner, your religious community, and the social support is could be anybody, but your social integration are the support people that you're involved in these communities. There is a connection here. There is a sharing of emotions and a sense of intimacy. So your family's religious community, and this group of social relationships offers a protective benefit to our psyches and to our bodies, and it can prevent our bodies from falling into unhealthy cortisol running through our system. That's the stress hormone that can really damage us. So different kinds of support system. There's emotional support is when people affirm our worth, right? It's like, you got this. You're stronger than you think you are. They show concern about how you feel. You look like something's going on. Would you like to talk? They offer a lending ear. These are people who really care about us genuinely. They're there for you when you go through a tough situation. They provide emotional support. They're compassionate. They're not going to judge you. They're not going to give you advice. They're going to listen to you. They're going to be there with you even if they don't know what to say. So examples of emotional support. So if you're going to be emotional support to somebody else, listen to this too. And if you're seeking support from somebody and they're trying to give you advice, sometimes we have to educate people about what we need and what support looks and sounds like to us. Classic example, and you guys can probably relate to this, but over the years in my marriage, I've learned to say to my husband, I don't need you to tell me what to do. I don't need you to solve my problem. I just need you to listen. So that's what I mean by educating people. You might call your best friend and say, listen, I can almost predict what you're going to say, but I would just appreciate you not saying it and just listening. So that is the kind of thing we need to learn to do, is to ask for what we need to from people. But emotional support, if you're going to emotionally support your friend, you listen without judgment. Now, you may be judging in your head, but you listen to them without judgment. You don't say,
Hey,
would
Connie.
you? Yeah.
I was just gonna say too, I feel like too, I know there's quite a few people saying, I wish I had that, or I wish I had this someone or whatever. And I can just say, I know for myself, you were talking about different forms and different ways of support coming in. And sometimes I think too, this is just speaking from my own personal experience. Sometimes I think it's about almost allowing that into, because sometimes I'll, like, for example, I just went to the Bariatric Society retreat and got back. And, sometimes these events can be kind of overwhelming because you're around. As you know me, I'm a pretty social person, but I sometimes too, you're with a lot of people that you haven't met yet. You're introducing yourself. And sometimes it takes being the bigger person and not, I mean, like we maybe we call other people judgmental because we think, oh, maybe I'm not good enough to speak to that person, or maybe that person has a certain personality I wouldn't mix with. Don't necessarily judge these people, because I'm telling you, they may be feeling the same way. And sometimes even just walking up to someone and saying hello, or being willing, if somebody wants to include you in a conversation or maybe an outing, like they're like maybe your friends from your hometown are going somewhere. Sometimes it's very easy to say, no, I got this and this going on. But how about saying yes to a few of those things? I know this past week it's hunting season here in Missouri, and my husband has been on hunting trips. And I think I've been with my girlfriends probably out of the last week, probably 5 or 6 days of the evening nights. Just because different friend groups, I have lots of different friend groups, and they're all for different reasons. And one group would say, you want to go do this. And it's so easy to say no because our lives are so busy and we think I can't do another thing. But sometimes we need those social interactions. And I almost have to push myself sometimes to just do it. And I'm just saying that because there might be some of you out there that people are actually asking you to do things, and you're like just saying no because you want to be at home. This time of the year is kind of cold and it can be stressful. But once you go, it's like you don't regret it, like, just having those different connections and different connections. Like, I don't know about you, Connie, if you have different friend groups. I have different friend groups for many different things. Like, some of my friends are more of like you said, emotional support. Some of them will really listen. Some of them are just there to make me laugh. Like, you have those good belly laughs. Some of them are maybe, for example, at the gym, those friends are more for working out and having different goals for that. But there's just different kinds of friends. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just
No,
think, like,
those are
being
good points.
open to new relationships and
Right.
being willing to say yes when people do invite you, because it's so easy to turn that down.
Absolutely. And remember that nothing changes if nothing changes. And it makes sense to me that, with my background, I don't mean my professional background, I mean my personal background. People think I'm this major extrovert. I am not. And you may have for years isolated, or you may for years have been put down by people and been judged by people. And so it's very, very hard to put yourself out there. But like Brenda was saying, I really encourage you to get involved in bariatric groups, because first of all, this this group of people understands the difficulties. They may have nuances to their story, but everybody knows the struggle. And so you've sometimes in the recovery communities, they say, feel the fear and do it anyway. So feel the fear and say, hey, anyway. Feel the fear. And if you're asked at one of these, feel the fear to get out there and go to a bariatric event. And when you're at the bariatric event, feel the fear and do it anyway. Talk to somebody at the table. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Say, would you guys mind if I came to lunch? Feel the fear and do it anyway. If you're invited and you're like, no, I just want to go hide in my room, do it anyway. Because that's how we form these friendships and relationships. And I'll tell you, a couple of the bravest people that I have ever met were in the bariatric community, and they are women who are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, who are not partnered up. And they feel like they have nobody. And that is a horrible, horrible feeling. Loneliness is a disease in and of itself, right? It causes all kinds of physiological problems because it's a source of stress. Loneliness causes all kinds of problems because we start thinking, who wants to be with me, who cares about me, who likes me, and we get really down on ourselves, right? So we want to make sure that, as Mel Robbins says, nobody's coming. Nobody's coming to rescue you. Nobody's coming to knock on your door and say, come out with me. So sometimes, especially if you are alone, you have to take the first steps and talk about difficult. But I'll tell you, I've had some of the most courageous, to me, people who develop their support systems because they get involved. They get involved. So if you don't have a support system, I'm going to talk about some ways that you can maybe create and develop some support systems. One of the things that I have done recently, again, stemming from my own insecurity. So a lot of us have insecurities which keep us from engaging in support groups. And like many of us, I walked away from my childhood with quite a few insecurities and friendship things, that my takeaway from that was, when I make a good friend, they always ditch me for my other friend, and then they're friends, and I'm not friends with anybody anymore. They leave me out. So this is what I take away from my childhood, right? So I decided that I was going to go this summer, this past summer, I went to my 50-year 8th grade class reunion because we went kindergarten through 8th grade. And every single one of my very best friends that I had felt ditched by at some point was there. And I thought, I need to tell every one of these people that they were a good part of my life, that they were, we were friends. And what I realized is that we were being kids, and kids change friends as often as they change underwear. And it wasn't anything personal, but I took away from that it was personal. So maybe you've got some old friends that for one reason or other, you have, kind of split ways. So maybe reach out to them if you're looking for some support people. And let me tell you something. 4 of those women came down to Georgia not too long ago, and I haven't laughed that much in I don't know how long. So reconnect with some old people. But again, you've got to feel that fear and get over yourself and reach out. Say, I just wanted to touch base. How have you been? There's a start, right? You've got to make new connections. The bariatric community is an amazing place to make new connections. I see lots of you on the message board right now going, hey, contact me. Here's my digits, as they say.
And Connie, too, I also want to add here what you were just saying. I think that's important, like connecting with other people. One thing that I would recommend is take a notebook. This is going to sound silly, but it works. Take a notebook, I have my notebook here, and make a list. Somebody asked, how can I attract the friends that I want? How can I attract the friends that I'm wanting to connect with? Take a notebook, okay, and make a list of the qualities you want in people. Like, make a list, okay? Because the more intentional you are, the more that's up here, that's what you're going to be giving off. And that's kind of people that you're going to be focused on meeting. And it's important. I did that with one of my jobs in the past. Actually, this job that I have here with ProCare was one of the jobs I did that with. I made a list of all the qualities I wanted in a job, and then you may get an offer that you just never even thought about. Like the first bariatric surgery job I ever had, I would have never even thought about bariatrics, but I made that list and I had probably 20 qualities of a job I wanted with your
That's
friends.
awesome.
So the next step I would say is then um after you make your list, then start doing some of the things that Connie said, reach out to a few people, see what happens. Or I know
Another,
one of the events that I just went to, I connected with 4 new ladies that I would have never met. One time we were just walking to get coffee, and one of them was behind me, and she said, "Are you with a bariatric retreat?" And I said, "Yeah, I am." And I said, "Why don't you have coffee with me?" And she's like, "Okay." So we had coffee together. Connie, you and I, that's probably how we first met. I don't think it was coffee. I think we were, gosh, when did we first
I don't
start?
remember when we first, but I'd say when I think we kind of really became friends was at that OSLP event, JBY, because we sat next to each other and really started talking about deeper issues. And since then, I mean, talk about people you might not ever connect with. So Brenda and I start talking, and she's friends with the gals from OSLP. So I met them, and we had a girls' retreat at my house. It was just amazing.
Twice. We've done it twice now.
Yes, and it was so much fun. So and Brenda and I have connected on all kinds of different levels, different interests. And so you have to take a little bit of a risk and get outside of your comfort zone. And that is very difficult. But these support groups online can make it a little easier because you can text with somebody, you can DM, and then you can it's like my daughters said to me years ago, Mom, when they were young, because we had moved from Iowa to Texas, and they said, "How do you make friends?" And I was so taken off guard by that question, but I thought that's a darn good question. And I said, "Well, start talking to somebody and see if you like what you hear from them. See if you like how they act. And if you do, then you share a little bit of yourself with them. And if you like what they share back, then you share a little bit more of yourself. And it's a little bit of give and take, see how you mesh, see if your values align, see if you enjoy similar things, or even if you don't, be curious. Like, well, what is that like? What is it like to be, ride horses? Or what is it like to, travel for your job? Ask questions. Ask questions to other people. And another way, like when I first started going to AA meetings, one of the things they encourage people is to get a sponsor. And how they told us to find a sponsor was to go to the same meetings. So go to the same support group meetings online, go to the ProCare, go to the BariAftercare, go to the same support group meetings online, and listen to what people have to offer. Listen to what they say. And that list of qualities that you like, they have wisdom, they listen, they're willing to take a risk in sharing things, they're willing to ask questions. If those are the kinds of things on your list of qualities that you like in people, then reach out to them. Say, I've really been impressed by or inspired by some of the responses you give. Would you be open to having a FaceTime coffee? Maybe they live across the country, right? You can have coffee now with friends online. You don't have to meet them at Starbucks, but it's really, really, really important. So another way, because you want to have friends in the bariatric community and you want to have friends and support outside. So there's things like Meetup, there's meetup communities everywhere you live. So if you live in an area and you'd like to have some in-person friends, then go to Meetup. There's book clubs, there's walking groups, or start one up. Get with your bariatric center and say, I'd like to lead a walking group, or I'd like to start a knitting group, or I'd like to start a meal prep group, so get involved that way. Ask for help. You've got to learn and be okay with asking for help, which I know from working in this community is really hard for people. And so be willing to go out of that comfort zone again. Do you have time to talk? Would you be willing could I run something past you? And expand that social circle a little bit. Meetup is a great place to try. So it's funny because I'm sitting here and right across from me, there's a great big sign on the wall that says, life is better connected. Life is better connected. I go to a mega church, right? And at these mega churches, their motto here is life is better in circles than in rows. So they encourage people to get into these small groups. That's my best friends, one lives in Texas, two live in Iowa, and and one lives in Michigan. So my four best friends all live in different states. So I wanted to have some people locally that I could get together with once in a while. So I joined a small group. So find a small group if you're involved in a church community or, a parenting group at your kid's school or whatever it is. Take the step and get involved. Again, nobody's coming. Mel Robbins, if you're not familiar with her, she has a little snippet on YouTube. Nobody's coming. Nobody's coming to get you off your couch to go for a walk. Nobody's coming to make sure you pay your bills. No, you know what, Sarah? Be careful about assuming, right? Because what the truth is we're sitting back watching other people and we're like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. They're sitting back thinking the same thing. They're afraid. They're nervous. Nobody in the world would think I had a shy bone in my body. But I will tell you that first time I went to a obesity help conference, and now I'm there as a presenter and I'm there to try to sell my book. And I forced myself. And when I say forced myself, I was sick to my stomach, anxious about it. I went into the clothing exchange and I sat up my little table and I forced myself to say hi to everybody that came in the room. What I wanted to do was crawl under my little table. So you really have to. And here's another thing about people saying, I assume people are too busy. I'm horrible at asking for help. I'm sure that you think it's okay for other people to ask for help. Of course, it's okay to ask for help. So what is it about? It's not okay for me to ask for help. And I'm not picking on you, Jamie, because I don't know you, but what that can mean, some interpretations of that could mean I'm too shy to ask for help. I don't feel deserving of help. I'm too much of a perfectionist and don't want anybody to think I ever need help. It could be a form of arrogance that's driven by insecurity, right? I want to look like I have it all together, but I'm really insecure. So I'm not going to ask for help because I don't want people to think I need help. For God's sake, we all need help.
Well, for me, it's weak. It makes, for me, asking for help, always feel like it's a sign of weakness. I don't need help because I can do all that, kind of like the
Right.
independent thing. Connie, there is somebody saying something about, oh, there's a ton of comments coming in now. Somebody said that they're in the Georgia area, and
I see that.
do you know of any groups in your area? Because
I'm not sure what kind of groups we're talking about. Are we
is
looking
that anybody
for
from
bariatric
Georgia? I just
groups?
wondered.
She may know of groups in that area. I know there are support groups associated with pretty much every bariatric center. And if there's not, I don't know what part of Georgia But I know that in Atlanta, there's a North Side Hospital group that is big. I'm not sure what kind of, but everywhere has Meetup. Everywhere has access to, you know, the online support groups for bariatric stuff. Just type them in. There's all kinds of them. Mel Robbins
Also
is.
want to say too, I know Connie has, I think Connie, you have a group online too, don't you?
I have a group called BariAftercare, and BariAftercare is for pre-ops and post-ops and people who are on medications as opposed to surgery, and anybody who's wanting to lose weight and keep it off. And it's primarily based on the psychological things like, I'm afraid to ask for help, or I need social support, or I need healthy coping skills, or I'm an emotional eater, or I'm addicted to food, or I don't know how to set boundaries with people, and I don't know how to ask for what I need, and my communication isn't that great, and I need communication skills. So it's all about those kinds of things. It is a paid subscription. Um, I do have some bariatric centers, not just nationally, but internationally, who pay for the program for all of their patients. There's a link on ProCare to the BariAftercare program. I'm more than willing to let you try it out for a month at no cost. Just email me. Um, Here, I'll put my personal email in there. And also I have
And Connie, I'll show them too how to access that too. Well,
okay.
like when we get to a point of,
Yeah. I have a free podcast, and the podcast is called BariAftercare, BARI, Aftercare. And again, it's about life, really. It's not just about bariatrics. Of course, I bring everything into the bariatric realm because that's primarily what I do in life, but it's really good life skill information for anybody. It's also on YouTube. So that's free. And I have 203 episodes now, so there's a lot to listen to.
a lot of great content stuff. Let's see. There's a lot, everybody's connecting different ways here. I love that.
I'm gonna put
Absolutely,
this up there.
absolutely love that.
Also on my website, which is, I'll put that up here too, there's a lot of free handouts that you can, take to your support group and say, hey, I brought something for us to use at support group tonight. Or,
Oh, Connie, let me copy and paste this into the chat box because I actually have all that here for them. Let me just, because I have
oh,
all your
I would,
social
oh yeah, I thought I was that.
ways to connect socially, and then also ways to connect to your website, your aftercare program, all of that.
Oh, thank you. And I love that there are people here from all over the country. Yeah, raised that asking for help was a weakness. Absolutely not. Hi, Contressa. Well, welcome. I'm in Atlanta also. Um, yeah, asking for help is a sign of strength. It says, I don't know it all, and I admire you, and I would value your input. We like to be asked for help, right? We like it when people say, would you give me a lending ear? What do you think of this? I will tell you some things to avoid. Don't give people advice unless they ask. What support means more than anything is a listening ear. And a listening ear, I'm going to give you something important. Listen for emotion. So when somebody's talking to you, oh, well, what you need to do is, that is the most freaking annoying thing in the world, right? Or you should, you know what you should do? Ugh. What I want to hear, and I'm guessing what you want to hear is, that sounds horrible. Oh, that sounds so stressful. You sound exhausted. You sound so sad. What can I do to be there for you? We want people to be there with us and for us, not to give us advice, not to tell us what we should do. And sometimes we need to say to people, like I said at the beginning, you know what? I don't want you to tell me what to do. Could you just spend some time with me? Could you just listen? So sometimes, again, yeah, you have to ask people. And sometimes people don't know what to say, you know? And Don't be afraid to say to people, I just don't know what to say, but I would like to be here with you in your pain. I don't know what to do at this moment, but would it be okay if I sat with you? We need connection. We don't need somebody telling us what to do. Or we can say, here's a good one. Would you like to know what I think, or would you just like me to listen? Right? Because that's inviting and asking for what you want or what you need. Other thoughts, questions?
I am. It looks like there was a lot of people. A lot of people were sharing their information, and just to make things easier for them, on our Facebook group, Very Connected, guys, I'm going to start a thread after this meeting. I'll start it just after we get done. You have to ask to join that group, and then I'll approve everybody, and I'll start a thread that says who all joined our support group tonight, and you guys can comment there. And you can connect theirs because you'll have each other's information and you can message or whatever you want to do. Because
That's awesome.
great way. And I'll also post more about Connie's information on that post too. So you guys will have it there for after this meeting. Because once we close out, it'll be gone. So we gotta have that. Um, I think, I
Jamie.
think, I think that some of the best friends, I have to say personally for myself, and I don't know about you, Connie, because I know you've been in this community for a lot longer than I have. But I have to say, like, I think back my weight loss surgery or my weight issues as a challenge in my life. I look at that as like I always ask myself the biggest challenges I have in life, how are those gifts in some way? How have those helped me to develop myself? How have those things helped me? And for me, like, number 1, it's helped me to dive deeper into all the reasons maybe I was overweight. Like, maybe it was self-esteem issues. Maybe it was, maybe confidence. Maybe it was just a lot of different things, a lot of
Yes.
different things that combined along with my own metabolism, a lot of different things that maybe I didn't have control over. But the things that I did have control over, I think that one of the biggest gifts has been community, and I have met, like, literally so many wonderful people like you that I would have never connected with unless I was in these communities, and so, for me, this has been probably one of the biggest blessings in my life is just having went through that for that reason.
I absolutely agree with you. There are so many people in this community that I have connected with that have added so much to my life just out of sheer like, wow, I never would have thought that, or I never would have known that, or I never would have had, an opening into that part of life. And it's just so amazing. And once you start doing it, when you're at these bariatric events or when you're at a online with bariatrics, you guys, everybody is so much more similar than they're different. They're not going to judge you. They're going to have compassion. That's what we need. That is what social support is, saying, hey, listen, I'm right there with you. And wow, how healing is that for our bodies and minds? I get you. I feel you. I appreciate you. I will be there with you. There's somebody in the group tonight, and I got to tell you, this woman shows up everywhere. And that is what it takes, right? Be at all the events, connect with the people. You know who you are, girl. You know who I'm talking to. And it's just amazing to me because that takes courage to put yourself out there and to take the risk to meet people and to say, hey, I'm here for you. And I would like to know if you would be available for me.
You know what? I have to agree with you. Some of these people, and Connie, you probably see this in your groups too, but I just have to say thank you guys, especially those people have become part of this community and show up event after event after event after event. I see you and I connect with you and I love that you're here. And yes, and I know
And
there's people that are new that are just connecting. So I,
yeah,
I I think it's interesting. Some of the people, whenever I worked at the facility that I worked with, we would have a lot of in-person support groups. And I remember some of those people met before surgery and became some of their best friends because you go through it together. It's nice to connect to somebody who is going through it at the same time because you're kind of like in that same phase of, so when you
Mhm.
introduce yourselves within our Facebook group, please introduce yourselves as being what phase you're in and where you're at with your surgery and what you're looking for.
Absolutely. And, you know, if you're brand new, find people who are at the same place in the journey and find people who are further and further and further out because you'll learn different things from every one of them. And that's a beautiful thing, you know, and then you will be that person for somebody else, you know, as they're coming into the process. And it's, we are such social beings and we need that connection. We all need to feel like we matter. We all need to feel like we care. So by asking somebody, if you can ask them a question, I mean, you are valuing them and they get that feeling of, oh, I matter. There's something that I can give to another human being. So take the risk, introduce yourself and invite people, you know, to reach out to you because it helps us feel connected, needed, valued. So when you're afraid to ask somebody a question or ask for help, remember that will help the other person who may need to feel valued.
Connie, let me ask you too, like if they are wanting, we're going to kind of like sum things up. I want you to, before I kind of jump on, I want to show them where your aftercare program is. Before we
Okay.
do that, I want you to kind of give your leading tips, maybe a few tips before we end on like summing up what you've talked about. And then also a little bit, just a little bit about your aftercare program and how they would connect there more.
Okay.
So
So what I would say is remember that most people are thinking the same thing you are and feeling the same way. So if you're hesitant, so are they. So take the lead, jump in there. Um, One of the other critically important things I would say is remember to value your emotional health going through this process because so much related to regain, we know what to do and sometimes it's hard to do it. We know what to do, sometimes it's hard to do it. So what my work is, let's find out what the obstacles are that come between knowing and doing. Let's find the obstacles, work through them so you can do what it is you know to do. And most of those obstacles, friends, are going to be emotional or psychological. So don't ignore that part of the journey. And that's what the BariAftercare is all about. It's about encouraging and supporting the physical part, but also educating people about the emotional and psychological, the grief of losing your friend food, the reality that some people have this, oh my God, what have I done? The reality that I don't know how to set boundaries with people. It's all, that's what the BariAftercare program is about, but it's a full comprehensive program. Every day there are a group of people from the community providing live videos. We do movement, we do cooking, we do um, support groups every single week. So if you're interested, and I'm going to be doing webinars this year. So if you'd like information on the webinars, be sure to email me your email address so I can get you on there so we can include you in those. And again, if you'd like to do the BariAftercare program free for a month, I email out reminders. I mean, I text messages to you twice a day with just reminders and encouragement and stick with itness.
it's awesome. Okay, I'm going to share my screen, Connie,
Okay.
and I'm going to show them how to access that. There's an email on there too. I'm not sure if that's meant for you. Whoops, that was meant to go to the website.
Oh,
Here we go.
thank you.
Um, and on the, I'm going to copy this and I'll put it in the chat box. This is the ProCare Now website. So if you go there, um, basically you're going to have a lot of different things here. Number one, when we talked about the BariAftercare in our partner programs, Connie is one of our partner programs. So if you go to Bari Connected, which is our podcast, and you go down to the tab that says partner programs, when you open that up, I got it opened up here. We have towards the bottom here, we have BariAftercare. And when you click learn more, you're going to have Connie's program. And it kind of goes in and talks about all the different things that she offers. Like there is so much information, so much information. And then there's a little tab that says subscribe. And so when you click there, actually, I didn't open up that. When you click there, you're going to have some options. And so do that real quick. Open to new link. And so basically there's different options for different subscriptions. Connie, is there anything you wanted to say about this?
No, it's great. I love how you guys have that. Thank you so much.
Okay. So it just makes it easy. So that is what Connie's aftercare program looks like. So again, you start out on the ProCare Health website. You go to the tab Very Connected, go under partner programs. When you get to partner programs, you're going to find our body and soul page, which has all of our partner programs on there. BariAftercare is Connie's. Okay. So be sure and hook up to that. I also want to just say Connie is actually an affiliate of ProCare Health. So you will get a discount if you are using her code. So I'm going to share that in the chat box here in just a hot second once I stop sharing my screen. And it will give you 10% off on our products. So some of the products, some of the people have mentioned while they've been here on the podcast have been our calcium supplementation. When you click onto that, there's going to be the calcium sea salted caramels and the chocolate, which here's a big loader here on the front page is our chocolate, dark chocolate calciums. And those are always a big fan favorite, especially this time of the year because they are seasonal. We only sell them during the cold months.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have those. So the dark calcium, dark chocolate calcium. And then the sea salt or caramel, you can either buy it as a trio pack with our dinner mints or cinnamon rolls, or you can kind of page down further on the page and you can buy it all on itself. So those are two products that people mentioned. This is a new product that just came out this month, within the last couple months. It's a powdered calcium citrate. They're little sticks that when you, this little pop-up keeps coming up and reminding us of stuff. So when you click on the powdered calcium citrates, the single servings, what you have there is they're basically like little single serving packets. That's such a big picture there. I'm not sure why it's so big, but they're really just, they're only like this big. They're little single serving packets that you pour into your liquids, and they're tasteless. They have no taste, just a light sweetness, and they basically will mix. They don't always mix the best with liquids. So you can do that. Just know that it may not completely dissolve, but you can also mix them with foods like maybe your sugar-free pudding or your yogurt or your applesauce or whatever. And that's another great way to take it. So also want to just say too, if you want to listen to more of the Bari Connected podcast, we have a little tab called Bari Connected. And when you click on there, you're going to have access to all of our events that are upcoming, including the ones that are on replay. So Connie's event is actually on this page. So if you decide you want to come back, listen to more, get more tidbits, just listen again. Sometimes I'll go back and I'll listen to these events a couple times just because I want to make sure and catch all the little tidbits that I miss, because sometimes I'm looking at comments and multitasking a little bit. And if you're like me, when you listen to these, a lot of times you are doing some other things, maybe dishes or laundry or whatever. I always am multitasking. As women, we know how to multitask. So come back. You can always listen there. Everything will be on replay until the end of the month, any of these events. And then everything is loaded up into our Bari Connected podcast and our YouTube channel. So we have everything. And then when you go to YouTube, make sure you also, if you're joining us, also join Connie's page as well on YouTube. Connie, yours is BariAftercare, correct? Or
On YouTube, it's just my name, Connie Stapleton.
Connie Stapleton. So make sure and join her YouTube channel as well. So you got two. And then this is links to our Facebook page in case you decide later that you want to join us there as well. Facebook's page, and we have a Facebook group. The group is kind of more interactive because it's private and people, not everybody can see those comments, and you can chit chat amongst that. So,
You know what, Brenda? Yeah, I also have a Facebook page, which is Connie Stapleton, PhD, I think. No, I have a page, and I just have one with my name, Connie Stapleton, and then I have Connie Stapleton, PhD also. So
okay.
on my Connie Stapleton one is where I post mostly, and it's, goofy stuff about my life and my world and my kids and my grandbabies and all the fun
I
things.
always love you always post all kinds of really fun little personal stuff. All your grandkids and
Yeah.
your family, and you travel so much that it's fun watching all your little travels of all the different places that you go.
Yeah, I love
Such
it. I have a
beautiful
good life.
places.
Very grateful. All right, friends. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm Brenda.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate you so much.
Yes.
And we appreciate all of those who stayed to the end. And I want to say
Yes.
too, for anybody that is attending as a pre-surgical requirement, because I know some of you are, um, attendance is taken when you register automatically. There's nothing else you guys have to do. It records it automatically. And then I send lists to those facilities. There's about 50 facilities that get attendance to these events.
Wow.
And I send the attendance usually the Thursday or Friday following the event. So next week, because this will be on replay. So it'll record anybody that's watching the replay. So you'll get accounted for attendance as well. So those go to the facilities. But if for some reason you are questioning whether or not your attendance was sent, after next week, you're always welcome to email me. And my email is just my last name, Hain, HOEHNB, my first initial at procarenow.com. So that makes it
That's how you
easy.
pronounce your last name?
I know it's nothing like it sounds.
Good Lord. I've
I
been
know.
calling
I don't
you
even correct
home.
people because it does look like Hohen. And honestly, that's
Yes.
probably the German pronunciation. It's probably
Jane.
Hohen.
Who knew? Well, look what I learned tonight. I love
I
you. By
know.
the way, hugs to you. Okay, Brenda, I gotta run downstairs.
Okay. Yes. So our next event will be next week on, I think it's Tuesday. Check our Very Connected Hub page and check that out because you can always look there. Somebody's asking when the next event is. So check there.
One more thing.
Yes.
So at Christmas time, I sell a really cool thing called the Gotta Do 'em bracelet. So it's a charm bracelet with little symbols for all the things you got to do as a bariatric patient. So there's a symbol for drinking your water. There's a symbol for getting enough sleep. There's a symbol, there's a charm for all the gotta do-ums. So watch my Facebook page for that, friends. And seriously, join BariAftercare free for a month. What do you got to lose? Nada.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. I'm going to sign off. Okay, guys?
Yes, we love you guys
Love you guys too.
and
Thanks,
take
Brenda.
care. Please let us know if we can help you anymore and support you in any way. You have Connie's contact in mind. So much love. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.